Nature is healing. I am about to head to a train to go from Riga to Sigulda, and I figured that I should talk about a couple of things that I technically missed, didn't really mention in previous videos, and also finally give an answer to the question of what what party I'm voting for and such. The way you know where you can vote is by where you are registered with your main residency. Even though I don't physically live and work in Sigulda currently, my family does, and I am still registered with the residency in an apartment there. And that's why I'm voting in Sigulda. It's a little different, interestingly, for candidates. If a candidate wants to run for an office in a local election, they do not need to be registered there necessarily. There are three options for how a candidate can run for an office in a local election. The first option is, in fact, the same as with voters, being actually physically registered in that, which is being actually physically registered as living in that area, in that municipality. There are two other options though, which is to either have private property in that municipality or to be employed in that municipality. And the reasoning is, well, I mean, it makes sense in that you are going to be paying taxes in that municipality in both of those instances. That said, the majority of candidates do just run with that first option. It does, however, technically mean that it is possible for a candidate to run for office in a municipality where they cannot vote for themselves, which is strange, but actually not unique to these kinds of elections in Latvia. For example, for presidential elections, I implied, which was not a good thing for me to do because it's wrong, that presidential elections include only people from Saima. That is incorrect. Anyone in Latvia can be a candidate for a presidential election, can be put forth as a candidate by the parties in Saima. And the president is voted on by members of Saima, meaning that it is possible to, of course, run for president without being able to vote for yourself as president if you're not in Saima. Now, as for my voting today, having looked into the parties in Sigulda, having looked into every option I had, did the LSM survey multiple times, considering that I needed to do it for a video as well, and thought about all those issues and thought about how things have been going on there, and the top two results would have been either New Unity or National Union. Those would be parties that I have agreements with and disagreements with, as I said in my party summary video. But do keep in mind, this is a very different thing from the Saima elections, where more broad, general, and I suppose social and economic issues are more relevant compared to just local development issues. National Union has been in charge of Sigulda for a very long time. Like I mentioned, it's been at the helm for as long as I can honestly remember. Since I was a little kid, I would go to events, and who else would be sort of speaking at the event if not Uģis Mitrēvits, the mayor for a very, very long time. And so when National Union and New Unity are at the top of my list, I am inclined certainly to vote more for New Unity as a sort of fresh take in Sigulda specifically. It is perfectly valid for people in the comments to talk about how well New Unity has actually, under different sort of names and compositions, have been in charge of Latvian politics for a very long time, and well, obviously with Harmony being at the forefront ahead of them for a long time as well. And so you might want fresh faces that aren't them, but in the case of Sigulda specifically, they are well, they're not exactly new, they have a couple of seats, but they aren't as dominant as National Union. The next thing that I did once I decided on what party to vote for is I went through the candidates list. Now, for Saima elections, it's a bit better, bit more convenient to do this sort of thing because the Partiju Širotav, the party sorter for on LSM for Saima elections allows also for looking through specific candidate opinions. I mentioned that in one of the recent videos I did on that website about how I would see in the 2018 elections members from the party KPLV at the very top and also at the very bottom, which is a very clear indicator that that is not a party you should be voting for because it has a very, very inconsistent worldview, and you are just as likely to end up voting for someone who is strictly against everything you stand for as you are likely to vote for someone who stands for what you vote for. That is not, unfortunately, that tends to not be an option. It isn't an option in local elections, in municipal elections like this one. However, the site and other sources online still offer you details on who this person is, what their nationality is, how old they are, what education they have, and how they're employed. So I went through the list and noted and made notes on my phone of candidates that had seemingly good relevant education, good relevant experience. Personally, I can tell you that I went, oh, this person's a doctor, we could use one of those in there. This person has a lot of experience with road engineering, that could be useful. Oh, this person has, these people have a lot of education in humanitarian sciences and culture. That's also a useful thing to have in governments, in local municipal government specifically. And then, said no to things like this person only has basic education, this person is currently still studying and is very young, and while I appreciate the new blood, I have no idea even what this person is currently studying. I don't think they listed that at all, or any experience they might have. It just said students, basically. Note down all the people who said their only employment was a member of Valda, member of some ruling committee for whatever organization. I made the exception for one who was a well-educated man who is member of a committee for volunteer firefighters. That was relevant. That was actually something reasonable and good. But I noted a lot of people that I would put a little cross, or in this election color in the red circle to say that no, I'm not interested in this candidate. Now I'm going to be heading over to Sigulda to do my voting. Probably record something a little bit afterwards. We'll see if this video comes out today or as a part of the video on Sunday, which is tomorrow, on the results. If you asked me, I wouldn't be entirely shocked if the results I saw currently on our fake poll on YouTube are somewhat similar to the ones we're going to see in the real world. I think National Unity will lose some seats because people are getting a little bit tired of them. Uģis Mitrevits, the mayor, has left for Saima, and in Saima elections we saw that New Unity actually got ahead of National Union. Pro-Russian parties aren't going to see a lot of success in this region because they never have. You're probably not going to see a lot of success for Latvia First either, is my sort of assumption, because they haven't done a good job of advertising themselves in Sigulda. They don't really vibe with what Sigulda is about in their program, and populist parties actually haven't had a good success rate in Sigulda. During the election where KPLV swept the country a little bit, and especially Riga, as I recall, Sigulda didn't really buy into that. They were still voting National Union, New Unity, and in 2018, Development 4. So my predictions would be National Union loses some seats. I don't know if they're going to get under half the seats. They might still be popular enough to get half or more than that. But I would expect New Unity to gain a couple of seats. And beyond that, I don't know, maybe Sigulda's region party might get some stuff. It wouldn't be surprising. I saw them being, somewhat popular, if not, entirely serious. Someone did point out that they're running for Ķekava as well. Here's a map of Latvia where you can see that Ķekava sort of doesn't connect to Sigulda. You have to jump over Ogre to get there. I don't actually know the story of why Sigulda's party is running there, but it is. It is. Let's go to a train. This is, sure is an election map on Latvia. Yeah. I'll start off by saying a couple of things. This is all data available on LSM's website, as it is after every election. This is probably the most convenient way to look at election results in every region of Latvia, municipal elections, elections, all of that. Even conveniently, you can press 2021 here and see and compare with the results from the previous election in 2021. Which, by the way, did not include an election in Riga because it had one in 2020. But yeah, these are the results. And the very first thing I want to comment about these results is that can parties just let go of the red? I understand they want to be like the Latvian flag, right? They want to have that exact color, but you can't all have that color, because I opened this map on my phone where it was even smaller and less understandable, less readable, and I was like, did Latvia first win all these regions? No, wait, some of these are National Union. Some of these are National Union derivatives and combined parties. Some of these are the Latvian Regional Alliance. Some of these are, like, over here in Valka, it is the Vidzema party. All of them have the same color. If you want to use the Latvian flag's colors, could someone please just take white? I don't think any party is using white. And you know what? It's also in the flag. God damn it. Anyway, as we look at these results overall, first I want to show you how this site really works. You can click on any of these regions and see more detailed results about how each party did, who lost, what seats each party got, and other details, the concerns of each person, not each person, but of people in that region who wanted to leave comments, this detailed information about what exists in the region for now. If you scroll down on this section, you will see here details on how many seats, not how many seats, but how many regions, municipalities did each party win in. And compared to previous results, these gray bars show the previous victors. Of course, this doesn't show you which parties maybe took like second or third place. Maybe some of these regions were quite close, but this gives you a general gist of which parties are the most successful this time around. And over here, you can see the activity of the voters. You can order by how many votes in total the region got, and of course, the most populous city, Riga, was the one that had the most voters in total. But when it comes to percentages, the most actives were Ādažu, Mārupes, Ķekavas, and look at that, Sigulda, we're up here. We're past the 51% mark, which is really cool to see, because last time around, last municipal election, I think we had like under 40%, but this was during like the back end of COVID, so I understand that was also a factor. And the lowest engagement from voters was in Augstdaugava and in Rēzekne. And in Rēzekne in particular is something I want you to keep in mind here when it comes to the results. Then over here, yeah, you can see the total results, where one thing I did kind of predict in the party description video, well, I didn't outright say I predict this, but just judging by how it's going in Sigulda, that LPV, Latvia First, was not going to win many places. Here you see one victory in total, which is going to be Riga. We'll talk about that separately. If you're just interested in Riga, by the way, feel free to skip to the like very end. I'll probably talk about Sigulda first and then end with Riga. But they also won in one place together with the party Together for Latvia, and that was Rezekne, the location in Latvia that had the least engagement in the entire, well, outside from Augstdaugava, second least percentage-wise, second lowest engagement in the country. So that's wonderful. And if you look around the regions, you'll see that, yeah, they did not have a lot of success. They're not the only party to struggle across the board in all these regions. For example, I was like, why the hell do the progressives just not bother running anywhere? Like last time around, they did actually run in Sigulda, got like 3% of the votes, but they just didn't bother running this time around. And whenever that sort of thing happens, whenever a party says, we're not even going to run in this region, how the hell do you expect people in that region to care about you and vote for you in national elections? I don't know. But in LPV's case, they actually ran pretty much everywhere, well, with some exceptions, like we saw in Ventspils, Snovets, they didn't bother, but they ran pretty much everywhere, but had very little success in most places. In Kurzeme, they pretty much got no seats anywhere. You can see that they're all hovering beneath the 5% margin, right? As I'll remind you, you need to get 5% of the vote to get any seats in the government. And they got close in Talsi and some other places, but in Kurzeme, not very popular. Down here in Zemgale, also very much not popular. They're just hovering beneath that number. You get closer to Riga, they get some, some votes again, just above 5% as far as I can tell in most of these places. So usually that's going to amount to like 1 or 2 seats. Like in Ropež here, they got 2 seats because they got a little bit over 10%. Interesting union here between development and National Union, by the way. That's an interesting one. I didn't know was going on. And yeah, the further you go into this direction, the more you might see some success from them. But even then, it's like not a ton of success at all. Most of these locations, they had under 5%. Then you go into Latgale, and over here, there's actually some really interesting stuff going on that I want to point out. The one other place besides Riga where they had good success was Rezekne, right? With over 50%. Over 50%, you can see that, I'm gonna point out one thing as well. It gets even worse with the colors on this screen, because these are the identical colors. And you're like, oh my god, they got all but 2 seats? No, 3 of these went to the National Union. God damn it. Which, by the way, is running in here in Rezekne with unity and development. So I guess each party is gonna get 1 seat there. Yeah, it's all kinds of interesting alliances you will see across the board here. Then, some interesting stuff here. For example, lots of Latgale regional parties did really well. Like we saw in the video I did on the LSM Party Shirota, the Daugavpils Novada Party, the party of the region of Daugavpils, did really well here in Augstdaugavas Novats. But in Daugavpils itself, Saroji Latgale, I think this is the biggest victory I've seen on the map here anywhere. I mean, some places got like 50% of the vote, which is also really good for them. But this party got 68% of the vote, and the only other party that even got any seats was Development. And I just want to say, good luck to whoever they put into government from their party here. Imagine being the opposition, and the coalition is just one party of 14 people representing it, and you're the opposition, and you're just one freaking guy. Good luck there. I mean, some parties got close. You can see hovering around 5%, even including Latvia first, but they didn't pass the bar there. Yeah. Now I want to talk specifically. Oh, right. First, I want to look down here, where we can compare to previous results. So, interestingly enough, the Greens and Farmers seem to have done better this time around, like a lot better, apparently, despite losing the Greens from their party and more success to the Greens and Farmers separately. I don't know how it works, but it all kind of seems to be at the cost of 3 parties majorly losing out on seats. One are the Young Conservatives, who absolutely kind of collapsed. If we can talk about Harmony as a party falling apart because they weren't strict enough on Russia, Conservative Party, Young Conservative Party specifically, sort of fell out of popularity really hard because they were not seen as conservative enough. They weren't, for example, opposing the cohabitation laws enough. Yeah, that's what their voter base considers. National Union seems like they have lost a lot, but if you kind of look at it more, you can see that they actually get a couple more seats here, here, and here in these combined lists. So instead of having 2 victories, they kind of have 5 across the board here. Then development, yeah, they've lost out a lot from the previous elections. They've lost a lot of popularity. I mean, they didn't even get into Riga, which we'll get into at the very end here. So that's how that's going. And other than that, you know, a lot of different sort of coalitions are going to be forming. But first I want to look at Sigulda here, where I'm also going to be our wonderful results from our little poll, which I'm going to cut here at 190 votes. So our results for the first polls were that in this very first one, New Unity was at the lead, quickly followed by National Union, then For Development, and Sovereign Power / New Latvians, like, absolutely trounced. Then over here, Latvia First and Latvia Rebirth Party ended up tied, apparently. They did not do very well at all, and the Farmers / Greens were trailing behind Sigulda Region Party. And if we see a look at our final one, final poll, then at the very, very bottom we had the Greens and Farmers, then the Sigulda Region Party, National Union, and New Unity at the top. I said that I wouldn't be too shocked if this was the result, but I'm also not shocked by the very different results in Sigulda, because some of them do follow along with what I had predicted. So let's click on Sigulda here, and I have the link to this website in the in the description, sorry, and you can just click on any region you want and take a closer look yourself. National Union was still at the front, but like I predicted, they did lose quite a few seats. I believe that previously they had 12 seats, and now they will have 7. And keep in mind, this is also 7 seats that they will have to divide between the National Union, the Latvian Region Party, Region Union, the Vidzima Party, and the Young Conservatives, right? Then in second place, we have the Greens and Farmers, that are, you know, isn't the union of the Greens and Farmers, but it's a union between the Greens and Farmers. It's not very confusing at all. Then in third place, we have Sigulda's Nuova Party, the Region Party of Sigulda, and the New Unity actually hovering around the same exact result they had last time, which also resulted in them having 2 seats. So it's 7 seats for the National Union Coalition, 5 seats for the Greens and Farmers, 5 seats for Sigulda's Nuova Party, and 2 for New Unity. And the part that I absolutely did predict in my comments that I added before this part of the video was the populists and the pro-Russian parties absolutely not having a chance in Sigulda. So Latvijas Atzimšanas Party got 1%, Suverēnā Vāra, Sovereign Power, and the New Latvian Union have little under 2%, and LPV, Latvia First, has 2% as well. These are parties which simply do not understand how to even run for an election in this region. I am surprised that they even bothered. I feel like the progressives could probably have gotten a way better results than any of these. Development also didn't make the 5% cut, so this is the government as it stands here. It's going to be an interesting one. It's definitely going to be changes in how the government looks. It's possible the New Unity will just keep the 2 people they already had in government in there. I would like to see them swap out as well for some new ideas and new people. But I'm happy with these results, even though my party, not my party, but the party I decided to vote for in this instance, didn't get to, increase their seats. I still kind of like what's going on over here for the most part. I'm curious about how this government will operate and how things will change. Now, oh boy, let's take a look at Riga. The next 4 years are gonna be special. So first I want to say why it took so long to even get these results, which is that not just Riga, but some other places experienced, like quite a few places actually, experienced the voting, the counting machines for the ballots breaking down. They did not function, and so the results, which should have arrived roughly like at 4 a.m., didn't. And then in a lot of places, with the machines broken down, the people running the polling stations hadn't gotten information from the administration of what they're actually supposed to do. There was no plan B set in place, so there was some dilly-dallying before they were like, okay, let's just count the votes, like has happened in the past. Like it's just how things operated before those machines were implemented in the first place. So yeah, that's why only now at like 12-ish a.m., p.m., apologies, we got the final results. Like, it was this number here shows how many polling stations have put in their information, and this was hovering around 157 for like 2 hours in the morning. Like, when I woke up, it was like 150 something, then it was 157, then it was 160 for a while, 162, and only now it got to where it needs to be. We are about to witness some kind of coalition, right? And it's going to be really goddamn weird. Remember that in that second video I talked about the parties, and I made the joke about the progressives and the National Union having to, you know, go into the doghouse together and sort themselves out and until they're capable of communicating with each other without ripping out each other's throats? Well, right now, that's gonna have to actually happen in Riga's Duma, in their government, because the biggest perceived threat by a lot of people in a lot of these parties was Latvia First, which, yes, they did actually get the most seats, 13 seats in this government. And that is Schuster's party. And so a lot of these parties, progressives and New Unity, for example, and I believe United List as well, said outright, we are never going to work with LPV, we're never going to work with Latvia First, we refuse to do that. National Union did not say that. They said, well, we do not, completely say we will never work with them, but we are not going to work with them if they are leading the coalition. And so we are in an interesting position where, for one, they got the most seats, meaning that they would be leading the coalition if they formed the coalition. And so that would already mean that National Union wouldn't be interested. But even if they walked back on that and we were like, okay, let's still work with them, the total number of seats is 60. So in order to form a functional coalition, you need 30 or 31 seats. Right now, if you combine Latvia First and National Union, you get 23 seats. That's not enough. So they would need to find more allies. And Latvia First is completely willing to work with the pro-Russian parties Sovereign Power, Union of New Latvians, and Stability. You put these numbers together, and you get 26 seats. Meanwhile, none of these guys, and none these guys either, would want to work with Latvia First, Sovereign Power, and Stability. National Union would never work with these two parties. I will talk more about some crazy stuff that's been going on in government just a couple of days before the election, a bit later. Let some dust settle on the election for that. But I'll suffice to say, this is not an alliance that would ever happen, right? So that means that the last coalition that I can think of that could possibly form would necessarily include the Progressives, New Unity, probably the United List, and National Union. Meaning it would be
it would have to be like the world's biggest tent coalition just to keep these two parties as far away from each other as possible. But they kind of have to cooperate if they want to stand up to Latvia First and the pro-Russian parties. So the next 4 years are going to be an ocean of compromises in order to make this even remotely functional. I'm just gonna say good luck. This is gonna be a very interesting thing to follow along and observe as we move towards next year's Saeima elections, which frick knows how those are gonna go. It's definitely gonna be interesting. I will be reporting how the coalitions and such form here. And I also do want to go back to Sigulda for some more content later. But yeah, if you're Latvian, let me know in the comments how you feel about these results. And if you aren't Latvian, let me know in the comments if, the guys you were rooting for did well or not. And yeah, if you want some detailed looks into each of these specific regions, once again, you can just follow the link in the description, go to this website. It is in Latvian, but I think it's intuitive enough that you can just click around and have an understanding of what you're looking at. So yeah, I'll see you in the next video, which should be next week, but I am gonna be taking a breather. Alright. Good lord.